People of Reddit, what was the scariest thing that happened on a camping trip? Story number 1. This isn't necessarily scary, I mean it was a frightening event, but it's more funny and I'd like to share the story. My mom, sister and myself were camping with some other people when severe weather hit, so we packed up the car to leave. Before we could get out, the tornado hit, torrential downpour, so we went to like a picnic area to shelter. My sister begins having a severe asthma attack, but her inhaler was packed up in the car. So my mom, who mind you is terrified of storms, she's been in quite a few tornadoes, goes to the car to try and find it. Going to the car, there is a huge mudslide and she gets carried down a hill by the mud, ends up with a broken arm, a gigantic piece of wood in the palm of her hand, and the part that cracks me up the most, a lost flip-flop. Eventually, she gets to the car, gets my sister's inhaler, and she gets back to the shelter area. She is covered in mud head to toe, obviously in pain, obviously terrified by what just went down, and my sister, in the most nonchalant tone I've ever heard, says, "I'm fine now," as the attack had stopped by the time our mom got back. My mom was so visibly distressed and was like, "What the actual fuck?" Then, to top this off, she let my sister and I pick her cast, and we decided on this glow-in-the-dark one, and this damn thing made it impossible for her to sleep because it was so bright, and she ended up covering her arm/cast in a towel to get some rest. Yeah, my mom really doesn't like severe weather, lol. Story number 2. My mom, stepdad, and us 4 kids, ages 8 through 12, went camping at a local reservoir. All of the kids and stepdad went into the water to swim, and within a half hour or so, 3 of the 4 kids were close to drowning. My stepdad saved the 2 that were struggling to keep their heads above water and dragged them out, while I, a 9-year-old, paddled out on my inflatable raft to save my little sister who had floated far away on hers. The rafts both leaked air and were down to less than half of what they started with. When I got to her and started to blow hers up, she started beating me because she thought I was releasing the air. What a day! Story number 3. When I was a kid, a raccoon stole all of our candy and food. Parents bought more and then put ice chest in the tent. Later that night we thought raccoons were back, so went out of the tent to drive them off. They were bears. Literal freaking bears. Story number 4. When I was a kid, like maybe 8, we went to a friend's lakefront cottage and slept in a tent in the backyard with their kids. There were like 4 7 and 8-year-olds all together, and our parents slept inside the cottage. Suddenly my younger sister was poking me and pointing at the ceiling, absolutely panicked. There was an entire family of raccoons crawling all over the tent. You could see their nails piercing through the tent as they climbed all over it. I just imagined one of them falling right through the tent and getting trapped inside and fighting these screaming little kids. I vividly remember how scary that was. We huddled until we didn't see any more feet on the tent and then booked it through the backyard back into the cottage. Story number 5. Not a camping trip per se, but my younger brother and I, along with a friend of ours, all aged 9 to 10. We are ready to spend the night in a tent set up in my backyard, Fritos, cans of soda, cookies, candy, and every comic book we could lay our hands on. We had our sleeping bags and our flashlights so we could read our comics. At one point my brother's flashlight grazes the top of the tent and we see hundreds of earwigs crawling above us. We let out a collective scream and booked ass into the house, where we spent the night safe in our bedroom. Story number 6. Saw my dad naked. It was awful. I haven't camped since. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and I will personally bring you a truckload of nothing. Also check out my main channel JJ Boom, which I will link in the description.